bundle transmission company of Nigeria. Because if you recall, we don't have issue with generation, we don't have issue with distribution. The problem we have is transmission, which is the grid, and it belongs to government. So according to the minister, he said it's going to decentralize, which I think if we have it by region, right, that will help. Maybe collapse, it won't affect the other part. You could recall what the northern part, especially Kaduna, actually faced. Let's look at the economic loss. I was in Kaduna and I have to be in an hotel, and I discovered that they have to run the generator set throughout, and you know how much diesel or petrol cost now. So it's a very serious issue that we must look, and it's affecting our economic performance in Nigeria, because once there is no power, it becomes a serious problem, especially for small businesses. Even a barber shop now cannot afford to buy fuel to service his machine or what have you. So the thing is, we must go beyond the rhetorics. We must be serious. How can a country of 230 million cannot generate more than 3,000 megawatts? And that 3,000 megawatts does not, in my area, we are told that we are in band A. Can tell you from these little dry season signs, they have returned to normalcy, where they will just took the light and they will start bringing it every time, so that they will say they have we are on band A. I think it's a serious issue. I think if Tinubu government can only solve this issue of electricity, Nigeria will celebrate him. And that's why I find it difficult to see our past president not being able to lay their hand on what thing they have actually solved. We have to have that culture of making things work in our country, because every business is tied to that electricity issue. So I think we should unbundle more. Then there is this unbundling that has happened already, but there must be investment from states and from federal government. I noticed that Governor Mba of Enugu is trying to have they have their own commission for electricity and whatever. But the thing is, how much have you invested? You must invest about 50% before you can see people coming to invest. So I expect other states or other regions to go ahead to also invest in electricity generation, distribution, and transmission.
Now what happens to the Electricity Act that President Bola Tinubu signed into law? It has empowered states, but it almost feels as though it's some bureaucratic procedure.
No, it's open, but the investment is very huge. So that's why I said states must be ready to invest in that area, because if you don't invest, people will not come. They are calling international community to come and invest, but it's not a small thing. You must start it and give a possible sign that things can actually happen. Even let's look at the one in which state? Which state is it? Okay, this Alex Oti state. Yes. Is it Abia? Now you remember there is one. It has not also commenced because it needs a lot of investment. So actually, it's not what you can just invest in. So you must create that enabling environment. But with that, if government can insist, federal government can insist, all states should go, all 3 states can come together. Actually, I was even expecting NDDC to actually, but NDDC is changed now. It's not in one environment again, and we now have changed it to Ministry of Regional Regional Ministry, whereby it is now region. So if each region can actually work it out, we must unbundle and decentralize the generation of electricity. I think that will give us a better way out.
Now we're also looking at comments coming in from the FCCPC this morning, making headlines on the Business Times, and it's from the angle of consumer protection. A lot of Nigerians who find themselves in the classification of Band A feel that they have been done an injustice. There's also been the minimal downward review of the electricity tariff from the initial 225 naira per kilowatt hour. It is now at 209.23 kilowatts per hour. But let's refer to that headline story before we get Dr. Aliu's thoughts. Now, on the Business Times earlier, we saw the FCPC issue a call to order to discos, saying that they should make electricity affordable, accessible, and reliable, tasking the discos on consumer involvement in electricity bans classification.
Right. I think it's quite interesting that we see FCCPC saying this, because a major issue is accessibility and availability. As we are talking, some people do not still have what we call meter to actually work. Then there's what we call capex and opex, where we call capital expenditure and operational expenditure. Now, this same AEDC or discos generally, they have their own operational expenditure. Can they tell us what they are doing for people? Because you recall that now they are making a whole lot. It's times 3 of what they are making before with introduction of Band A. what are they actually expending money for? If a pole fall in your area, you community take the responsibility. If you have downtime, you have to call them overtime before they do. So we must start, because for me, discos only come with portfolio. They don't come to with any investment. Even the meter that we have, remember, it is said that they should give us meter, or we should buy meter, and it will be reduced from there. I've bought some meters. Up till now, there's no sign that they are repaying me back the money. So I think it's beyond FCCPC, it's NERC, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. They should do something to make sure that people are actually benefiting. They are not shortchanging, because it appears that they are tilting towards people that are supposed